Because a lot of people a lot of atheists and anti-theists look at religion as completely idiotic. And I mean, to be fair, they have a point. But
To be fair.
yeah, but even though the beliefs themselves are idiotic, um, the system itself and how it survives is genius, right? Basically it's the survival of the means rather than survival of the genes, and the memes that have the best strategy to survive, and it's become the Darwinism of the memes, and they survive. This Islam and Christianity and Hinduism all of a sudden become very powerful memes. So the again, even though there's no designers or any conscious person designing these memes, on purpose, they end up becoming strategically very, very, great at coming up with ideas or values or scare tactics that works the best, right? So when we
Right.
look at the shame and the guilt in religion, we can ask ourselves, like, what's the purpose of this? It must have, just like when we're looking at the feature in an animal when it comes to evolution, the survival of genes, we're like, this must have a reason why it's there, or else it wouldn't be there if it didn't help with the survival of this animal. When we look at religion, I think we could ask ourselves, this guilt and this shame, what was the purpose of this? How did it help in the survival of memes like Hinduism, Christianity, or Islam?
Right.
So the shame and guilt that I experienced and Susanna experienced, what would be your answer? How do you think this helped these religions survive?
Well, I call it in my book, The God Virus, I write about the guilt cycle. This is related to something Ali was talking about before we came on air. And that is that the guilt cycle is what keeps you infected with the meme, with religion, the God virus, if you will. So you are taught, let's just take a simple example. You are taught that you shouldn't eat cookies before supper. And so, but you really are hungry and there's cookies in that cookie jar. So you go and you get a cookie and you eat it, knowing you should not do that, but your mom catches you. And she slaps your hand, says, don't do that before supper. And you go and eat supper and you're okay. Next day, you're hungry again and that cookie sure tasted good and mom's not around. So you sneak the cookie and you eat it. Well, your response, your emotional response is that, oh, I broke mom's rule. Now we call that the beginnings of guilt. So now you've broken mom's rule. We've gone the cycle. You're starting to feel bad about breaking mom's rule. Mom may never catch you, but think about this. You might go through your entire life, the rest of your life, knowing and feeling guilty if you ate a cookie before supper. Mm-hmm. I know people who still do that. My mom taught me that, and I could eat a cookie anytime I damn well please, and yet I still feel guilty about eating a cookie before supper. Hey, we haven't even talked about religion. That's just a cookie. Now your religion says touching your body and masturbating is a mortal sin and you will go to hell for it. Now, think about this. When you're 5 years old and your parents say, don't go out there and play in the woods because there's a lion that might eat you. If you're a smart kid, you will listen to your parents, or you'll get eaten by a lion and you won't pass your genes along or your memes along. But your same parent says, don't go over into that bush because there's demons over there. Your brain at 5 years old cannot determine the difference between getting potentially eaten by a lion or being sent to hell by a demon. It's indistinguishable. They're both equally important in the baby's brain. So your mom tells you masturbation is wrong. It will send you to hell. It'll kill you forever. You won't be around your mom and dad anymore, all that sort of stuff. Your brain now realizes, oh, I touched myself, I masturbated, and now what am I going to do? Well, the religion says, but if you accidentally touch yourself, come to confession if you're a Catholic, read your Quran, pray 5 times, do all this other stuff, and you can get out of hell free card. It's a get out of hell free card, but you have to come back to religion to do it. So you can see the cycle goes back around. You're going to masturbate. You're going to have sex with your girlfriend. You're going to have dreams that you shouldn't have. And you can get out of it by coming back to church. So I call it the guilt cycle because it constantly reinforces the shame and guilt that religion taught you in the first place, just like the cookie.
Oh, sorry, Armin.
So this
Well,
you go ahead.
I wanted to kind of, Susanna, you're saying you're still having trouble breaking away from it. I just thought of something, and I'm going to actually share it, is that I'm in my 40s, and I've had a few divorces in my life, and a lot of that had to do with being raised with this idea that sex, and I was raised with this too, even though I came from a relatively open family, that sex is generally dirty outside of marriage, but sex is a beautiful thing when you're married. And the problem with that is that when you find somebody that is a sexual partner, like the first few sexual partners, then if the sex is good, you think, oh my God, I'm in love with this person, even though you have nothing in common with them. And then in my case, I ended up getting married, right? To these kinds of, and this is like when I was very young, and this actually happened a couple of times, and it's very destructive, like this idea that you should save sex for marriage, and sex is it changes the trajectory of your life when you can't differentiate the two, and you think that good sex must absolutely be associated with you being in love with this person, and that's why this is a person you should be with. And a lot of times the people you have the best sex with are really the worst people to get into marriage, right? It's
Whoa.
yeah, it's that's something, I don't know. But anyway, I'm just sharing that because I think it was really, really courageous and really brave for Susanna to say what she did, and I was like, I just want to applaud that.